It doesn't matter if you use CBO or ABO. It doesn't matter if you use cost cap or bid cap. You're gonna see a lot of this stuff. What matters is you get the fundamentals right, you have the right creative, and you set yourself up in a position to scale. Facebook ads should be used primarily to acquire new customers. If you are not using Facebook ads to acquire new customers, in my opinion, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the platform is actually for. A good metaphor for it is fill up the sponge and wring it out. You have to spend more on prospecting if you want to spend more on remarketing. This case study looks at the most important and impact-driving campaigns. If I had to summarize what you're about to see, it's test it, scale it, send it. Sending it is a whole nother level of scaling it that we'll talk about. Opportunistic optimization. When reading the account like a QB reads defenses, call plays and audibles according to the field. It's like when I was talking about the Twitter gurus. It doesn't matter if you use CBO or ABO. It doesn't matter if you use cost cap or bid cap. You're gonna see a lot of this stuff. What matters is you get the fundamentals right, you have the right creative, and you set yourself up in a position to scale, making optimizations as the opportunities in the account emerge. Facebook ads should be used primarily to acquire new customers. If you are not using Facebook ads to acquire new customers, in my opinion, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the platform is actually for. Always test and scale on broad. It's the biggest possible audience, but I also think it's the best performing audience. Targeting does not happen at the ad set level. Yes, I know you can go in and type interested in puppies for your print-on-demand puppy brand, but that doesn't mean that the targeting actually happens at the ad set level. Targeting happens at the ad level. So when you are testing creative, test on broad. When you are scaling, also scale on broad. It's the best audience. Now, you can use lookalikes, you can use all that stuff. However, for testing and scaling, you want to stay on broad. Okay, so let's look at creative testing. This is an ABO campaign. We start with each ad set at a $200 daily budget. It's on lowest cost. To broad, wide open, excluding 90-day purchasers Klaviyo lists. Now, the astute media buyer watching will say, Jordan, why do you exclude Klaviyo lists instead of pixels, right? Instead of 90-day purchase according to the pixel. Post iOS 14, when you have massive signal loss, those pixel lists are not as accurate. However, if you upload a Klaviyo list, that is real, right? That's way more accurate. So we chose to exclude 90-day purchasers with Klaviyo lists. The angle is at the ad set level. So it's all broad, it's ABO, and every 24 to 48 hours, we're gonna go in there, duplicate the ad set, swap all the creative, put the new angle in, put all the creative in there, and publish. That's the whole thing. It's so easy, a VA can do it. Scale it where it lies. Once it starts working, you don't need to pull it into another campaign. We definitely do that, and I'll show you some of the strategies, but scale it where it lies. Scale it in the ad set it's in. When I say angle at the ad set level, this is a perfect example. The concept is that Vessi is made for people who care. The angle, as you can see in that headline, these sneakers are so vegan, they wouldn't hurt a fly. As a copywriting nerd, when I see that, I love it. Shoes so vegan, they wouldn't hurt a fly. And so on the creative testing level, we're putting new angles into the ad set, coming up with stuff like this, and constantly pushing it out. The ad itself is a UGC product showcase with a vegan-friendly sneakers graphic on top. This is the key part of creative testing. Everyone I talk to that I respect in this game, when I tell them that we test angles at the ad set level, they always say, me too. It's the best thing to test. Now, the variations happen at the ad level, right? So the angle is vegan shoes, and then you use ad types to variate on the ad level. You have a vegan product showcase, you have a vegan UGC, you have a vegan video ad. You variate with ad types on the ad level and locate the angle at the ad set level. The structure is as basic as I promised. In this instance, we're actually we're starting with $500, but we're excluding purchasers, the angles at the ad set level, and then the 4 variations, like I just talked about, are at the ad level. Ad V1, V2, V3, V4. Now, I know, again, a lot of the best practices, CBO, dynamic creative, we threw all of them out to the wind. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. I'm saying this is what we did. Now, here's what happens after months, right? So there's two of these campaigns, but one of them, a creative testing, during scaling, still spent $12K per day. There is 61 ad sets in there. 89% of them were turned off. Only 7 were active. If Vessi, a D2C disruptor in Darling, is converting with ads at 11%, anticipate testing a lot of creative and turning a lot of it off. However, as you can see with the budgets, the scale at where it lies, 1,000, 500, 2,000, right, 3,500. So we're scaling the ad sets that are working inside of the creative testing campaign to a point where when we're really scaling, creative testing is actually a weapon. We're not even testing creative with it, we're scaling. Next, the ROAS Royce, the next progression. Extremely similar. Another 12K in spend, 2 campaigns for the United States and Canada, a CBO starting at 500 per ad set. You want to graduate winners. So you're looking at those 61 ad sets in creative testing, and then you're pulling it into a very simple CBO, 1 ad set on broad, excluding 90-day purchasers, and you're testing what we call incremental scale. Okay, we know the creative is profitable on low budgets. What does it do at 5K a day? What does it do at 7K a day? And slowly increase the budget. That same boring way to scale that everyone's been taught forever, this works here. Structure is simple. A CBO at a $500 budget, ad sets only 1, excluding purchasers, and your top 4 ads in there. Now, as time goes, you keep adding and keep turning off losers. Here's an example. 71 ads in this ROAS Royce campaign. It was months up to this point. 13 out of 71 were active. Again, only 18%. Everything else had been turned off. Let's take a quick look at retargeting. We understand testing, we understand intermediate scaling. Let's take a quick look at retargeting, and then we'll look at really scaling, because I only have 4 minutes left. About 20% of the budget is spent on your remarketing campaigns. Contextual creative, offer-centric, overcoming objections, thank you, with your creative. And I'm a big believer in DPA. Rely on DPA. DPA is your best remarketing tool. A good metaphor for it is fill up the sponge and wring it out. You have to spend more on prospecting if you want to spend more on remarketing. The structure is very simple. 2 simple ad sets, page views, add to carts, initiate checkout, combined looking at a stacked engagement with the same types of ads on both. Again, leaning heavily on DPA. Speaking of DPA, test DPA with no exclusions at all. Let it run broad and gobble up remarketing, warm, and even cold traffic. Let it send to everyone. Now, in this instance, this was hands down our best performing remarketing ad, and I truly believe that post iOS 14, you can pretty much put all of your chips, if you're gonna run remarketing at all, on DPA. But you can also run these DPA ads to the entire funnel. This consolidated setup scaled to about 30K per day, sometimes further. But again, we ran into that problem. Once I get beyond that, raising budget raised CPA. And this is where you're gonna see something that the Twitter gurus would not approve of. Let's look at how we scale, how we really scale, how we get beyond 50K per day. Again, this is not best practice, it's what happened. Okay, 1 campaign in Canada. ABO starting at $2,000 per day in ad set, and we're using manual bidding. So we're testing creative with creative testing campaign. We're testing incremental scale in the ROAS Royce campaign, and then all of them go into the manual bid ad set. The manual bid ad set is how we really scale. Finally, send it. Send it. The goal is to give the platform an infinite budget, as in you can spend $1 million today, only restricted by the CPA. Some people talk about manual bidding as a way to get a lower cost per purchase or a lower cost per acquisition. That's not its purpose. The purpose is to get the same cost per acquisition with a literal infinite budget behind it. I'm talking 6 figures in 1 ad set. The setup is extremely simple. On ABO, we start the bid cap in this instance at 100% AOV. Now you can use cost cap. We use bid cap in this. It doesn't really matter. Test both. We set the bid cap at 100% AOV and put our top winners from all the campaigns into this one ad set. Here's how it worked. As you can see here on the budget was at $50,000 a day. Now this is not actually an updated screenshot. I'll show you further. But it spent $27,000 of that $50,000 daily budget. This is what I'm talking about. You set the bid to lock in your CPA and then put a literal infinite budget behind it. If it's profitable, send it. You don't have to do the 20% thing. You can start doing big jumps, 150%, 500% increases on the budget. Again, highly risky, but it worked. When it really scaled, we had 37 ads, 9 of them were active, and bid cap was set at plus 15% AOV. We brought up the bid just a little bit to maximize delivery. And take a look at this. We had 75 ads in here. I think the top 12 got delivery. That's normal. But look at these change logs. This was the last day. We took the daily budget from 120 to 130, from 130 to 140, and from 140,000 to 150,000 per day. Now, putting $150,000 into an ad set budget with a credit card that works is horrifying. I'm not recommending this. I'm telling you this is what we did. We knew that by 9 a.m. the CPA had stuck, we were good, let's send it. It had been weeks of testing up until this point. But what I want to show with this screenshot is literally how we put an infinite budget into Facebook, only restricted by CPA, and this ad set specifically spent like $29,000, made $98,000. Not only did it spend the most, it was the best performer as well.